Hi there, everyone, and welcome once again to the Train Aid HQ. My name is Nick, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at Unit A of the Level 3 Award in Education and Training Qualification. And we are going to be uncovering question 1.2, Summarise key aspects of legislation, regulatory requirements, and codes of practice relating to own role and responsibilities. Okay, so for this question, we need to select a minimum of 4 different types of legislations, regulations, and code of practice. Within the world of teaching, training, there are a number of different legislations, regulations, and codes of practice that we need to be aware of. So there are many different legislations, first of all, which govern our own teaching and training roles. Now, legislations are essentially laws, and these are created within Parliament, and these are for all industries to follow. So not just teaching and training and education. They influence many different organizations and companies. And so these are statutory, which means that legislations, they don't often change with time. Okay, so there are many which are applicable within teaching and training, such as the Children Act of 2004, Freedom of Information Act of 2000, the General Data Protection Regulation of 2018. So that was the former Data Protection Act. Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, and also Safeguarding of Vulnerable Groups Act 2006. So there are many different legislations, and the benefit of having these legislations is that it makes all training providers, all educational establishments standardized, because they will all follow the same legislations as well. So we'll have a look at those in greater detail shortly. We also have regulations or regulatory requirements. So these are applicable to certain industries. These are, again, very, very important to follow, and you will need to find out within your own teaching establishment which regulations that you will follow, because these will differ depending on your industry. But some of the typical ones are COSH, which is the control of substances hazardous to health. That was in 2002, that was established. Food safety and hygiene regulations of 2013, manual handling operation regulations of 2013. We also have reporting of injuries, diseases, and dangerous occurrences, so RIDDOR regulations 2013, and the regulatory reform fire safety order of 2005 as well. So I always like to think that legislations are the big picture. They're created by government. We also have regulations which are created by awarding bodies and establishments. They are laws, but they're individual to specific organizations. And we have codes of practice as well, such as acceptable use of information technology, behavior, code of conduct, conflict of interest, any disciplinary procedures, dress code, environmental awareness, sustainability, and timekeeping as well. So codes of practice are created by the organization itself. So they differ from organization to organization. So simply for criteria 1.2, we have to summarize any 4 different types of legislation, regulations, or codes of practice. So you can actually include a blend. Okay, so for example, you could choose 1 legislation, 2 regulations, and you could describe codes of practice as well. So you really do have free reign here on this table. And furthermore, with regards to this assignment, you can select these from your own practice as well. So if there are any legislations or regulations which are not featured on the assignment template, then you can of course select them if they're relevant to your working role. So let's just have a look at an example. So we have to describe how the legislation, regulation, or code of practice is relevant to teaching and training. Okay, so for example, I have come up with the very first row within my table. We have the General Data Protection Regulation of 2018. So that was the former Data Protection Act. So we have to simply describe the legislation or code of practice in relation to training. So in regards to my answer, there is a requirement under the General Data Protection Regulatory 2018 that teachers and trainers handle learner records and any learner information securely. So this is things such as learner grades, learners entry requirements. It could be any reasonable adjustments, so the learner's individual needs. So all of that information should be kept safe and secure by the training establishments. The Act sets out the legal requirements when processing personal data, ensuring that sensitive information is protected. So it's absolutely vital as a teacher to build that trust with your learners that any sensitive information is being stored securely and safely as well. Courses which require an application form, this should be kept safely and securely because it will contain information such as the learner's date of birth, home addresses as well, and also with regards to the learner, once again, they may have reasonable adjustments. So again, that's sensitive information and data as well. As a teacher on our courses, we keep learner joining instructions confidential. And once again, with any learner who's disclosed that they would like a reasonable adjustment, then we of course will have a chat with them to see how best we can support them on their course as well. So of course, data protection is a really important legislation to follow as well. But with regards to this assignment answer, we've got four boxes within our table. So as mentioned, you just need to reflect on a minimum of four, and it can be a blend of different examples there. So what other ones could I reflect on? So for example, I would say that if I was to take a regulation, I would go for manual handling. That would be my second one that I would reflect on. So that would be my my second act. So I would write that in the same level of detail there. I'd say a paragraph of information would be sufficient there. I would also go for COSH as well. I'm just going to copy and paste that over. That's a very important regulation. I'm just going to put that in there. So COSH would be my two regulations. I would also look at codes of practice. So I will write codes of practice, acceptable use of information technology. Perfect. So I've got my four, and what this assignment question is doing is just showing your awareness that you as a teacher or trainer are aware of the different types of legislations or laws, regulations, and codes of practice that you must follow and adhere to as a teacher. Okay, so hopefully this video has been useful in regards to setting out your assignment answer and just showing you the level of detail as well and what you could choose. But once again, just to reiterate, if there are different legislations or regulations which you follow which are not featured on this template, then feel free to include those. That's no problem at all. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for our next video on assignment A.